Dear friends, in this video, we are going to see some questions in connection with the lateral entry mode of recruitment. We are all aware that UPSC released notification in connection to making some lateral entry recruitments, but yesterday we got the news that the notification has been cancelled. You can Google for various news articles in connection to the same. But in this video, we would like to ask few questions in particular, which are related directly or indirectly to this idea of lateral entry recruitments. So the first question is, when was the idea of lateral entry given effect for the first time? How it started? How it continued? Why this time, currently, it became a huge issue which eventually led to the cancellation of the notice which was announced by UPSC yesterday. Is what are the differences between the present notification and the notifications from the past? Is it that this time there were more number of posts compared to the notifications of the past? I know every year on an average, how many people are entering the government at the rank of secretary or additional secretary or in various capacities via lateral entry? Now, when we say lateral entry, the rules and modes of entry might be very different compared to civil services exam, where we have preliminary exam, where we have mains exam, which consists of around 7 papers and then 2 language papers, I think, and then personality test. Here, these are people with experience and expertise, as is said, and they have very different way. They may not have an examination, and they may have different way of getting selected for via lateral entry for the posts such as, say, secretary, additional secretary, deputy secretary, and things like that. Now, the second question: which party, when they were in ruling government, have done this previously? Okay, is it only BJP? Is it only Congress? Is it only BJP during coalition? Is it only Congress during coalition? This also you need to find answer. Is everything wrong when we say lateral entry? Okay. Is everything wrong completely? Lateral entry itself is totally wrong, an idea? That is another question. Then, what were previous setbacks? What were various issues that were spoken previously whenever lateral entry recruitments were made? When we say setbacks, I would also like you to talk about merits as well. Okay. Now, if too much people enter via lateral entry, will Civil Services Act as a steel frame as envisaged by Sardar Vallabhai? Right? A steel frame should not, see fear or favor with respect to the political bosses or the political party members of the political executive. All right. So, if too much people enter via lateral entry, will Services Act as steel frame as envisaged by Sardar Vallabhai Patel? Then, can we draw some parallel to the lateral entry policies or lateral entry recruitments and the spoil system that operates in the United States of America? The spoil system of USA, all good. Does it have any, drawback? Now, 7, at a time when semi-judicial commissions, say for example, National Commission for Women, are not providing information as to whether its members can have political affiliations. As you know, NCW can do investigations and pass orders concerning violation of women's rights. So that is why they are semi-judicial commissions. Can the member participate political party meeting? Can they be member of a political party while they serve as member in the semi-judicial commissions? NCW says no, we don't have any records as to provide any information to these questions. Right. So what about the preamble of Right to Information Act, which talks about transparency and accountability? When semi-judicial commissions, which take the burden off from the constitutional courts itself is, not willing to provide this information, or they are not having this information, are not able to say clearly whether they can be or cannot be. And at a time when we see, judges, governors, these posts are independent officers, impartial officers. Okay. Offices. This is offices. Please ignore this R. After their independent offices, they are found to join active politics. In such situation, how much trust can people have with appropriate governments, okay, be it state government or union government, in connection with lateral entry, that these are people who will act independent, who will be impartial, who will act as a steel frame? That is another question. Now, next question is, are our governments, state governments, union government, do they operate in such a way that citizens have very less resort to seek information from government through email, through letters, through right to information and other means? You might have seen a news article or many articles that even President Secretariat says we have no information to say how many decisions have been sent back for reconsideration by the office of the President of India. You might be aware of suspensive veto, even the portals which talk about date of introduction of law, date of passing of law in one house and other house, do not talk about was this bill or was this bill returned by the president by exercising suspensive veto. There is no such column. So are our governments operating in such a way that citizens have very less resort to seek information from government? Now, why this question here, you may ask. You will understand while seeing next few questions. Now, UPSC has released this notification. Our question is, now we might have seen news related to Pooja. Articles say that UPSC has asked the criminal legal system to take action against her. Now, has UPSC identified the persons who did background verification in connection with Pooja? Beyond Pooja, have they identified the persons who misled them? Why UPSC was not able to identify Pooja before, various other issues like behaving in an allegedly arrogant manner came to the news? Then, what is the status of various cases or matters that are pending in constitutional courts, high courts, and Supreme Court, in which UPSC is a party, as against some candidates who may feel that UPSC's decision is actually wrong? How long these matters are pending at the Supreme Court? Can we have a status report? Do we have this report? Are these matters resolved within 3 years at the Supreme Court level or the High Court level? What is the status? What does report of the Second Administrative Reforms Commission talk about lateral entry? I think the lateral entry itself finds mention in around 10 places, if I'm not wrong. But I will give, link of the print Cut the Clutter by Shekhar Gupta, so as to find answers to question number 1, which we saw. And I'm not endorsing the editorial view of the print, nor I don't endorse it. Okay, in this video, I'm not taking any stand. Rather, I'm asking all these questions, which are very necessary, that media should ask, and all citizens and legislators across parties should think about these questions. So what does report of Second Administrative Reforms Commission talk about lateral entry? Has UPSC identified the persons who misled it in matters related to Pooja Ketkar? I think this question is repeated. It's just the same as question 9. Sorry. Is Pooja Ketkar the only person who has allegedly misled or fooled the UPSC? The way in which the scam committed by allegedly by Pooja came to the surface was very different. She was not initially identified by UPSC. It is various other processes that led UPSC to do some scrutiny and later came up with, in fact, it kind of rejected her candidature. 14th question: if social justice angle is taken care of in lateral entry matters, do you think we can have any number of such lateral entry recruitments? Here, I would like to tell you, whenever a public sector undertaking is becoming private, there is always a threat, because as long as it was public sector undertaking, recruitments will follow social justice method of affirmative action manner of reservation based recruitment. But when public sector entity becomes a private sector, don't you think it is up to the private, and in future there may not be any affirmative action in recruitment because it's private sector, right? Now you think here, if social justice angle is taken care of in lateral entry matters, do you think we can have any number of such lateral entry recruitments? Now, do you think those who join via lateral entry should be made only as advisors? They should not be given the authority to take crucial decisions. They should not be appointed as secretaries, deputy secretaries, additional secretaries, despite their expertise in their own fields, technical technical fields. Or should they be advertised? Should they be considered for secretary like postings or secretary level postings? Or should they be appointed as either advisor or both, secretary, deputy secretary, or additional secretary? What are the merits and demerits of all these things? Now imagine if they can be made only as advisors. Will we as citizens of India be willing to audit as to why their recommendations as advisors were not implemented? They're only advisors. Their recommendations are not binding. That is why we call it as recommendation. Now, will we make the government accountable? So why they did not implement the recommendations of the advisors who are actually lateral entrants? Okay, let us assume that yes, we are going to audit why their recommendations were not implemented. If that is the case, should they be appointed only as advisors, stripping the powers to take authority to take crucial decisions in their domain of expertise? Why a person with any degree can become an Indian police servant while civil services exam, when we have programs like UG program in criminology and criminal justice, PG degree program in criminology and criminal justice science, etc.? Why somebody who is not connected with crime, policing, security, some degree which is not at all connected to this, can become an Indian police servant? Okay, let us say that we are going to bring reform and to say that hereafter only related programs, only those candidates can apply for, say, Indian police service. So if those educational eligibility criteria is taken care of, do you think there may not be a need for lateral entry at all in the future? Okay, are our civil servants? Actually, this is the 19th question because one question repeated. Are our civil servants sometimes or many times see things only from the inside? And if educational aspects are taken care of, do you think this problem will completely go away? seeing things only from the inside? Final question. Has there been any research meeting quality standards? How happy were some of the lateral entrants who have been appointed and who have served or worked in the past? Did they at some point of time or all the time felt that it's better for them to return back to their private sector, or were they very happy serving at the recruitment position through lateral entry throughout their tenure? So these are some of the questions I would like to pose. I may get more questions. I will share it with you all. So I think we need deliberations, discussions, debates surrounding all these points so as to, arrive at, some justifiable, reasonable uh, conclusion related to lateral entry, and to also have some limits as to what extent can can governments go in recruiting lateral entrants. See you all in one another video. Bye bye.